A lawyer at Sullivan and Cromwell, one of Wall Street's most prestigious law firms, had to write an apology letter to a federal bankruptcy judge in April 2026. The document his team filed contained fake case citations invented by artificial intelligence. The firm didn't catch the errors before submission. Neither did the opposing counsel initially. The AI had fabricated legal precedents so convincingly that they sailed past multiple layers of expert review. This wasn't an isolated incident. In just the first 3 months of 2026, U.S. courts imposed at least $145,000 in sanctions against lawyers for submitting AI-generated hallucinations. One case in Oregon hit a record $110,000. The pattern is consistent: experienced professionals using AI tools, trusting the output, and discovering, too late, that the technology confidently stated things that simply weren't true. When one federal judge reviewed what went wrong, he identified the root cause in stark terms: a lapse in human oversight. Here's what's happening. AI systems generate text that looks authoritative. They format citations correctly, use proper legal language, maintain consistent tone. Every surface indicator signals trustworthiness. But the content itself can be entirely fabricated, and the fabrication is so seamless that even experts in the field don't immediately recognize it. The tools don't just make occasional typos or formatting errors. They construct elaborate fictions, fake court cases with plausible names, invented precedents that sound like real law, quotations from judges who never said those words. The problem isn't that these tools occasionally fail. It's that they fail in a specific way that exploits how humans assess credibility. We've spent our entire professional lives learning to spot sloppy work, inconsistent formatting, awkward phrasing, obvious gaps in logic. AI output has none of those tells. It fails while looking impeccable. One early adopter of AI agents described the experience to Fortune magazine as working with a toddler that needs to be overseen, except this toddler can write like a senior partner. This creates a cognitive trap. The better AI gets at mimicking expert-level output, the harder it becomes to maintain the vigilance needed to catch its errors. Workers report something researchers are now calling brain fry, the mental exhaustion that comes from constantly monitoring multiple AI tools, knowing that any one of them might confidently deliver wrong information at any moment. You can't skim the output. You can't trust the formatting. You have to verify every substantive claim, which means you need to already know enough to have written it yourself. And yet adoption is accelerating. Not because people trust these tools, but despite the fact that they don't. Surveys show workers are integrating AI into daily tasks even as they express deep anxiety about its reliability. The pressure to use AI is outpacing our ability to develop reliable oversight processes. Companies are measuring productivity gains from AI without accounting for the hidden labor of verification or the mounting costs when that verification fails. The legal profession is seeing this first because courts impose clear, measurable consequences for error. But the dynamic isn't unique to law. Any field where AI generates content that requires expert judgment to verify faces the same structural problem. The technology is sophisticated enough to be useful, but not reliable enough to be trusted, and the gap between those two states is filled by human attention that may or may not be sufficient. What makes this particularly difficult is that human oversight isn't a simple binary switch you flip on. Effective oversight requires constant focus, domain expertise, and the willingness to slow down and verify even when the output looks perfect. That's exhausting to sustain. And the economic pressure runs in the opposite direction, toward faster adoption, more automation, less friction. The courts are creating one answer: financial penalties severe enough to force law firms to build verification systems. But most workplaces don't have judges watching. They have managers measuring output, productivity dashboards that reward speed, and competitive pressure to adopt AI before fully understanding its failure modes. The question isn't whether AI will continue to be integrated into professional work. It will. The question is whether organizations will build the oversight infrastructure before the costs of getting it wrong become impossible to ignore.